Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Unreliable Sources, your biweekly briefing for mystery lovers, thriller junkies, and suspense addicts. I'm Mike Donohue, thriller author and fictional murder expert. Let's get into it. On today's show, we're diving into some statistics about American reading habits. Spoiler alert, Americans don't read that much, but when they do, mysteries and thrillers are crushing it. We'll also check out what books those readers actually borrowed from libraries in 2025. Plus, we've got 4 new releases to talk about. And then we're tackling a question that's been nagging at me. Has modern technology basically killed one of thriller writing's most reliable tools, the MacGuffin? You know, that Hitchcockian thing that everyone's chasing that drives the plot forward? Turns out smartphones and cloud storage have made life a lot harder for thriller writers. Then we'll finish up, as always, with what I've been reading and watching lately, including why I'm now happily hooked on a new-to-me British detective series. Let's roll. We'll kick things off today with some recent headlines from the Book and Crime Beat. Book Riot has some genuinely encouraging data, despite what I just said in the lead, about American reading habits in 2025. Despite all the doom and gloom headlines about declining literacy, people do still read. And they're reading a lot of our favorite genre. Mysteries and thrillers remain one of the most popular adult fiction groups in America. The data shows readers are gravitating towards series over standalones, which makes some sense. When you find characters you love, you want to spend more time with them. The report also found that readers are increasingly mixing formats: physical books for some authors, audiobooks for others, and ebooks for convenience. We're in a golden age of choice, and crime readers are taking full advantage. Moving on to a related topic, NPR covered the most borrowed books from American libraries in 2025, and the list is somewhat fascinating. No surprise that Frida McFadden dominated. Her psychological thrillers continue to be everywhere, including now at the movies. But what's interesting is how library borrowing patterns differ from the sales data. People buy the big commercial thrillers, but they borrow literary mysteries and international crime fiction. It's like we collectively decided certain types of books are worth owning, while others are perfect for a quick library checkout. Hey, no judgment either way. I'm happy whenever books get into readers' hands. Quick reminder, the links for all these stories, as always, in the show notes. Moving on to movies, the New York Times published their massive preview of book-to-screen adaptations coming in 2026, and crime fiction is well represented. Don Winslow's novella Broken will hit theaters in February as Crime 101 with Chris Hemsworth in the lead. Early word of mouth is a tight, brutal little thriller that really doesn't waste a frame. I really enjoyed the novella that it was based on and look forward to seeing how they turn it into a movie. Winslow, mostly known for his big, sprawling, multi-book epics, is underrated, I think, as a short story writer. Patricia Cornwell's Scarpetta finally gets the proper adaptation treatment on Amazon Prime with Nicole Kidman in the title role. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. Scarpetta's been around since 1990, and capturing that mix of forensic detail and personal drama on the big or small screen hasn't been easy. But Kidman's got the gravitas for it. Let's see how this one plays out. Netflix is also getting in on the game with a limited series adaptation of Agatha Christie's The Seven Dials mystery. It's one of her lesser-known works, which actually might work in the adaptation's favor. No one's going to compare it to a beloved classic. Finally, Alice Feeney's His and Hers will also hit Netflix in January. If you've read Feeney's twisty domestic thrillers, you know this one should translate well to the screen. Our last news item in this episode, the 2026 Left Coast Crime Convention has announced the Lefty Award nominees, and the ballot is stacked. These awards are reader-voted, which makes them particularly fun. The nominees represent a great cross-section of what's working in mysteries and thrillers right now, everything from cozy to hard-boiled, traditional to experimental. Again, I'll drop a link in the show notes because honestly, the nominee list is basically a ready-made TBR pile. If you're looking for your next great read, start there. All right, now let's take a look at what's new and notable in bookstores and libraries in the first few weeks of the new year. Lori Rader-Day's Wreck Your Heart. Rader-Day has built a reputation for psychological mysteries that dig into complicated relationships. But this new one looks like a slight change up, maybe a little lighter, hopefully all in a good way. It's, quote, a wisecracking and wonderful crime novel with a big heart about a country and western singer out to catch her big break before family or murder wrecks everything. Amy Peace's Wildwood. This is Peace's debut, and it's getting strong early buzz for its atmospheric setting and tight plotting. A woman returns to her rural hometown to investigate her sister's disappearance years earlier, and naturally, the woods hold secrets. What elevates this beyond standard missing person fare is apparently Peace's attention to place. The forest becomes almost a character itself. If you're into books where landscape matters as much as plot, this could be your jam. Rachel Hawkins' The Storm. Hawkins knows how to write a propulsive thriller, and this one has a setup that's been very popular in recent years: a luxury resort, a massive storm that, you guessed it, cuts off all communication and escape routes, and guests who aren't what they seem. It's like In the Never None with better Wi-Fi, until the Wi-Fi goes out. Hawkins' previous books, like The Wife Upstairs and Reckless Girls, delivered exactly the kind of twisty page-turning fun they promised, and this looks like more of the same. You know, sometimes you just want a book that's going to keep you up past your bedtime, and Hawkins delivers. If you're a fan of Lucy Foley and haven't tried Hawkins, this might be a good place to start. Lucy Clarke's The Castaways rounds out our new and notables this week. Clarke specializes in survival thrillers with emotional depth, and The Castaways appears to be her most ambitious yet. A group of strangers stranded on a remote island, there's that trope again, must figure out how to survive and who among them can be trusted. What makes Clarke's work stand out is that she never forgets the human element. The survival mechanics matter, of course, but so do the characters' interior lives. If you're a fan of Ruth Ware's isolated location thrillers, Clarke operates in similar territories, but with her own distinct voice. All right, let's move on to this episode's feature. Has technology killed the MacGuffin? For those who might need a refresher, the MacGuffin is that thing everyone in the story wants. The stolen diamonds, the secret document, the incriminating photograph, the mysterious package. Hitchcock popularized the term, though he didn't invent the concept. The MacGuffin's actual content doesn't really matter. What matters is that it gets the plot moving and keeps the characters in motion. Classic thriller MacGuffins worked because they were physical objects that could be stolen, hidden, chased, and fought over. Think of every spy novel where microfilm or documents need to be physically transported, or every heist movie where there's a tangible object to steal. The MacGuffin created geography. Characters had to go places, meet people, search locations. But here's the problem. We live mostly in the cloud now. That incriminating video? It's backed up in 17 places and already spreading across social media. The secret document? It's been photographed, encrypted, and stored on secure servers with redundant backups. The stolen data? Good luck chasing someone that can be transmitted instantly anywhere in the world. Writers are trying to adapt, and you can sometimes see the strain. Thrillers now bend over backwards to create scenarios where phones don't work, internet is unavailable, or technology conveniently fails. How many times have you read a thriller where the protagonist's phone battery dies at exactly the wrong moment? Or there's a mysterious no cell service? Or the backup files are somehow all corrupted? It's the thriller writer's equivalent of having characters in horror movies split up for no logical reason. We kind of know it has to happen narratively, but it's getting harder to make it feel organic. Now, to be fair, some writers have found clever workarounds. Make the MacGuffin something that can't be digitized, almost like a throwback object, a physical key to a safe deposit box, a rare artifact, a biological sample. Or embrace the technology and make the chase about access rather than possession. It's not about having the file, it's about having the password, the biometric data, the specific knowledge needed to decrypt it. The best modern thrillers acknowledge technology's existence while finding ways around it. Maybe the information is so sensitive that it has never been digitized in the first place. Old school spycraft in a digital world. Or maybe the MacGuffin is knowledge that exists only in someone's head, which brings us back to the oldest thriller plot device, the man or person who knows too much. What's interesting is how this technological shift has changed thriller structure. Classic MacGuffin thrillers were often about possession and physical pursuit. Modern thrillers now lean more heavily into information asymmetry and psychological tension. It's not about who has the thing, it's about who knows what, when they know it, and what they'll do with that knowledge. You can see this shift in recent bestsellers. Gone Girl isn't about a physical object, it's about narrative control. The Silent Patient is about uncovering hidden truth. Many of the most successful recent thrillers aren't about chasing MacGuffins at all. They're about unreliable narrators, buried secrets, and psychological manipulation. Does this mean the MacGuffin is dead? Not entirely, but it's definitely changed, I think, and thriller writers are having to work a lot harder to justify its existence. The days of the simple, everyone's chasing the briefcase plot are largely behind us, at least without some serious narrative gymnastics to explain why the briefcase couldn't just be a Dropbox link. Maybe that's not just a bad thing. When writers can't rely on easy plot devices, they're forced to dig deeper into characters, psychology, and genuine tension. The best thrillers were never really about the MacGuffin anyways. They were about what people would do to get it, protect it, or destroy it. Technology might have killed the physical MacGuffin, but it hasn't killed human desperation, greed, or fear. And honestly, those are way more interesting to read about anyway. All right, let's wrap things up for this episode with what I'm reading and watching. So here's a confession. I'm embarrassingly late to the M.W. Craven party. I recently finished his second Washington Poe book, Black Summer. I think I might have talked about that on a previous episode, and enjoyed it so much I didn't want to wait for my library hold to come through on the first book. Instead, I went out and bought The Puppet Show, which won the 2019 Gold Dagger to start the series properly. And I'm happy to report it's just as good as advertised and well-deserving of its Dagger Award. The dynamic between Poe and his analyst sidekick is great. Not in that forced buddy cop way, but really genuinely interesting and not one I've really seen before in a mystery series. The mysteries themselves are intricate without being convoluted, and Craven has a real gift for escalating stakes while keeping the emotional core intact. I am now all in and already plan to devour the rest of the series. On audio, I picked up but haven't yet started Lisa Gardner's Alone. Another embarrassing disclosure, I've never read or listened to any of Gardner's work either, which is a pretty significant gap in my genre reading resume considering she's been a perennial bestseller for over 2 decades. Sometimes you just need to admit you've missed an obvious one and correct course. I'll report back more on how Alone goes in a future episode. On TV over the holidays, I watched Darren Aronofsky's adaptation of Charlie Huston's Caught Stealing, the first book in the Hank Thompson series from the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed it. It's quirky, goofy, violent, and definitely felt like a throwback to those mid-90s action thrillers. Think True Romance or early Tarantino, where crime and dark comedy blend until you're not sure if you should be laughing or wincing. Austin Butler is great in the lead role, fully committed to the tone without really winking at the camera. It's probably not going to be for everyone. It's messy and deliberately over the top in places, but if you're in the mood for something that doesn't take itself too seriously while still delivering genuine thrills, I think it's worth a look. That one is on Netflix. All right, that's it for this episode. Let me leave you with this week's question. What's your favorite modern thriller that manages to work despite or maybe because of technology? Or are you one of those readers who automatically rolls your eyes when the phone conveniently dies at the crucial moment? Drop me a line with your thoughts and maybe some recommendations for books that handle the technology question particularly well or particularly badly. You can learn from both and enjoy both potentially. I genuinely love to hear what's working for you as readers. You can email me, mike@mikedonahuebooks.com, or find me on Blue Sky @MikeDMystery, or Instagram and Facebook @MikeDonahueBooks. This has been Unreliable Sources. I'm Mike Donohue. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay sharp, follow the clues, and don't trust anyone who skips to the end.